So my last question is, why is the mental game important in getting you where you want to go? So why is the mental game important? And I want you to tell the audience about your first game in Seattle with the 12th man. And things are going great, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden things didn't go so great, and where the mental game could help you in that situation, whether you had it then or now, or just thinking about it in retrospect.
Yeah. So this kind of goes back to um, that spiral of like, there would be times like when I would make a mistake, I would just make more mistakes because I was not able to recenter myself. That's why I was like, I definitely needed to talk to people earlier. But it was my rookie year and with the 49ers, and we were playing Seattle in Seattle. And the first play that I'm in on, we have to like motion, and then Cap just makes an audible. He has to check the play, and then we run it. I block the right person, and Frank Gore scores a touchdown. So I'm on cloud 9. First play for a touchdown, like my career's starting off really good. And so we have another series where, like in this game plan, I'm moving around a lot. So I'm locked in, I'm doing all these motions and all this action, all that stuff. And then the beginning of one series, I get called for a holding penalty. And then I just immediately recognize that, man, it's really loud in here. And it's like I start to feel the environment, because normally, like when you're in the zone, all you're focusing on is, all right, my man's in front of me, I'm gonna take this step, I'm working on my hand placement. So like I'm so focused on what I have to do. But then I was taken out of the moment. I started to bring in all the outside noise, and then I dropped like an easy pass, and then at the end of the game, like I missed a block. And so that was the most obvious example of why it's so important to be able to have a strong mental foundation, to be able to snap back into it once you've made a mistake, because like we're going to make mistakes. And having that mental fortitude that brings you back into the present moment, and you're able to move forward and still be able to ignore all the distractions, all the outside factors. Like, man, it's really loud. Like, man, that's Cam Chancellor over there. That's Richard Sherman. Like, we're playing like a crazy defense, and that became more important after I stopped focusing on what I had to do.
That's a great point right there. Is your game strategy went from internal focus on staying in my lane, what I need to do, to all of a sudden everything else was just absolutely amplifying at you, including the crowd noise and who you're playing with. It almost like shattered, right? It was like your confidence was shattered, which was another topic we'll talk about another time. But then all of a sudden it's almost like the reality of the whole situation. You're not in this fairyland anymore. It's like, oh my gosh. So the ability to take a nice deep breath. Good, best receiver in the world. Best receiver in the world. You catch every single pass. Okay, that would have been a lot better than, oh my gosh, look who I'm playing against, right? And so that stuff, we'll talk about as we go through. So, hey, Asante, I appreciate your time. Any closing thoughts with this, with just this kind of topic of what is the mental game and why it's so crucial to actually getting you from where you are to where you want to go?
Yeah, you have to have that strong mental foundation. There are all these tools and tips that can help you strengthen that and take you to the next level, but you have to work it. Visualization is a big one. Setting a goal and knowing where you want to go is huge. But at the end of the day, you have to give your best effort. You have to do your best. And so as long as you're working these tips, working these processes, and giving your best effort, sky's the limit.
I love it. And I will share one more thing about what I believe mental toughness is. When you think of the word tough, it's just like the most mature athletes in the world. When it comes to mental toughness, they show up for yourself and you be who you need to be for you in that moment. Okay, it's not about all steel. Sometimes you got to have velvet, and that's such a mature thing. As a man, as a woman, we have to have steel and velvet and know which one to use when. Right, when you got that holding call, which I would think is so incredible, because There's a book called Steel and Velvet. Um, when I watch a Super Bowl, when I watch a regular game, and I see somebody get a holding call, I'm like, okay, I can go get some chips real quick or something. But to like be that guy who gets his number called, it's just like, right? And so like we see that, but in that moment, you didn't need Steele. You didn't need Asante, you piece of crap. Why could you? Are you kidding me? You've made that play 1,000 times and you screw that up in the first day of your life. No, it's Asante. Hey, that happened. It sucks and it hurts and you feel really lonely right now, and that's okay to feel the way, but it's not okay to stay there. What do you need to do this very next minute, right? And you can even hear it in the tone of your voice. It's a different tone that you would talk to a small child or a friend that's hurt, that needs encouragement. So to you, mental toughness is not about being tough all the time. It's showing up for you and being who you need to be in that moment. And we'll talk a ton about that on our next episode, I'm sure.